Hello and good afternoon. My name is Ellen Benzine. I'm an account manager with Swipecock and I support ApplicantStack products. We will be starting the webinar in a minute or two. I still see people signing in. So give us a minute and we will go ahead and start the webinar shortly. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello again, and welcome to Ask Me Anything Hour with ApplicantStack. My name is Ellen Benzine, and with me today are Carol Kennedy and Brandon Peterson, and we are all ApplicantStack account managers. And we have a special surprise for you today. We have a guest presenter. Dan Hicks from our technical support group has joined us to discuss ApplicantStack reports. And when Dan is done, we will open it up for general questions that can be on anything ApplicantStack. So we're pretty excited about having Dan here. Dan, can you please introduce yourself and show us how to create ApplicantStack reports?
Good afternoon, everybody. As Ellen mentioned, my name is Dan Hicks. I am the technical support specialist for ApplicantStack, and I'm one of several team members that answer ApplicantStack support cases. So if you've ever submitted a support case, there's a good chance we have worked together in the past. I see a number of names I recognize among the attendees, so good to see everybody here. And with that, I think we'll jump in and get started. So the account management team asked me here today to review the reporting features of ApplicantStack. So that's what we're going to do. The first question you might have is, do you have access to the reporting features? So reports are a feature available to users with a role of recruiter or administrator. Hiring managers do not have access to the reporting feature. As you may know, hiring manager is a restricted user role in ApplicantStack. This is because reports may expose sensitive candidate data, such as race or disability information, and the reports may include data from candidates that a hiring manager doesn't have access to. So for those reasons, reporting is only available to users with a role of recruiter or administrator. So assuming you have a sufficient user role, you can just click on the Reports tab in ApplicantStack. So I will share my screen here and should be coming up for everybody now. So to access reports, simply click on this Reports tab here at the top of your ApplicantStack screen. Now, there are a number of pre-built reports under the dashboard report section, as well as some pre-built reports that come down here in this bottom section. So that's always a good place to start. They contain data often requested by our clients, but don't worry if you can't find an existing report that meets your needs, because we offer the ability to create your own report, which is what we're going to review today. So we'll go over creating two commonly used types of reports, which are going to be the detail report and the summary report. So a detail report, as the name suggests, is going to list specific candidates or jobs, as well as data about those specific candidates or jobs. On the other hand, a summary report can be used to get an aggregate count of data, but it will not list which candidate or job the data belongs to. So don't worry if that doesn't make sense at this point. It should make more sense once we go through some examples. So we're going to start with creating a detail report. As I mentioned, this is a report that will list specific candidates or jobs in the system, as well as some data about those candidates or jobs. So today we're going to create a list of candidate names and contact information, such as phone number, email, and mailing address, as well as list the job they applied for. So we'll start by clicking Create Report, which is over here on the right side menu of the Reports tab. The first step is we're going to have to create a name for our new report. So we're just going to call that Candidate Contact Information. Optionally, you can add a description of your report if needed. Next, we'll have to select the data set for our report. In this case, we'll choose the candidates data set, and that will be the focus of our report. Finally, we're going to select the detail report type. Now you'll see here the screen refreshed and it populated with all the pieces of data that we can include in our report. To add a piece of data to your report, you drag it from the left-hand column here over to the right-hand column, which is the selected fields. Each field that we drag over to the, I wanted to select candidates, not jobs, sorry about that. Okay, so it refreshed again, there we go. So each field that we drag from the left-hand to the right-hand column is going to become a column heading in our report, and the data for the specific candidates is going to be under that column heading. So we already dragged over candidate name. That will be the first column in our report. Next, we're going to list the name of the job the candidate applied for. Now, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, I thought this was the candidate report, not a job report. That is correct. You can include job data in the report, but only as it relates to the candidate. So this is going to be the job the candidate applied to, if that makes sense. The candidate's still the focus of the report. So to round out the rest of our report, we'll expand candidate fields again and add the rest of their contact information to the report. So we'll add their address, city, state, phone number, and email. All right, if you scroll down, we're going to skip the grouping section for now. That's a more advanced feature. We might cover that in a future webinar. So some of our clients have tens or even hundreds of thousands of candidates. A report with that many candidates might not be useful and can take a long time for the system to run. So to solve this issue, we can add filters, and ApplicantStack will only pull the candidates who meet the filter criteria. So a good filter that I tend to always add is the candidate date created filter. So to add that filter, similar to the field selection, we just drag it over to the right-hand column. The date created filter is always the first filter the system runs, and it allows you to eliminate older candidates from your report results. It makes the results more manageable, and it also improves the performance and the time needed to run the report. Some other things we might want to add to our report filters. We might want to add stage name to only return candidates that are in a specific stage. So maybe we only want a report on candidates in the job offer stage, for example. And finally, let's add a job department to our list of filters. So perhaps we're only interested in candidates for a particular department's job. All right, so that finishes walking through the report builder. You'll see here at the bottom we have two different buttons. The Save and Preview button will preview the first 100 results of the report. So that can be useful if you're not quite sure how the report will look. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and save it because we can edit the report as many times as needed. All right. So we need to find our report in the list, which we called candidate contact information. And we'll just go ahead and click on the name of that report to open it. All right, and we'll pick some filters here. Let's say we're interested in candidates who applied last year, and we're interested in candidates in the administrative department. Let's go ahead and we'll click Run Report. It's going to query the database and pull back the details of the candidates that meet those criteria. All right. So you'll see here we have 2 candidates in our report results. This is just a demo account, so we don't have a large volume of candidate data. Obviously, in your accounts, you'll likely get more than 2 applications in a year, we would hope. All right, so you'll see that each field we selected is a separate column in the report. You can click on a column heading, and it will sort the report based on that column. You can click it again, and it will sort in descending order. And one other feature I want to call out here is the Export Report button. When you click that, it will download the report results in comma-separated values format, and you can open that with Microsoft Excel or a similar spreadsheet application if you need to further manipulate your results. So now that we have seen how a detailed report looks with specific candidate names and details that apply to that candidate, let's create a summary report. So to do that, we'll go back to the Reports tab and click Create Report. As with the detail report, we'll start by naming our report, and we're going to call this Candidate Source Summary. This is a report that clients often ask for, which is going to be a count of how many candidates they get from different job boards. So how many candidates did I get from Indeed? How many candidates did I get from LinkedIn? How many candidates did I get from my company website, etc. All right, next we'll need to determine the data set for our report. To determine that, you're going to ask yourself, what am I counting? In this case, we're counting candidates, so we will select the candidates data set. And we will select the summary report type. All right, you'll see here that the screen refreshed and the report builder is now visible. So this looks a little bit different than the detailed report builder. So first we'll need to choose a primary field for our detail report. This will be how we're counting our candidates. So in this example, we're going to count our candidates by source. So we'll select that as our primary field. Candidate source. Optionally, you can also define some secondary fields in your report. In this example, let's add candidate stage to our report, stage name. So we can see the stages the candidates in the different sources are in. All right, similar to the detail report, we can add filters. So in this case, let's add the candidate date created filter. All right, let's go ahead and we'll save this report. And we're going to find the report in our list and open that up. Candidate source summary. All right, and let's go ahead and run this report. All right, So looking at the results, you'll see this looks a little bit different than our detail report. We don't see any candidate names or identifiers. We just see counts of candidates. So the first column in the report lists out the various source options that are in use in our candidate data. And the second column here, total candidates, that shows how many candidates have a particular source value in their application. So in this example, we can see that we have 7 candidates from Indeed and 2 candidates from LinkedIn. The remaining column in the report reflect the stage name, which we chose as our secondary field. So of the 7 candidates that applied from Indeed, 2 are currently in the new stage, and we have 1 candidate in each of the remaining stages. So with that, I'll conclude our demonstration of creating reports. Hopefully this has been a good introduction and just allows you to get started building your own reports. Almost all the reports follow some variation of the detail and summary report concepts, but really the best way to learn is just to get in there, create a report, and run it. Like I said earlier, you can edit a report as many times as you need, so you can make an incremental change and run the report repeatedly to see how each change affects the report. And as always, if you can't find what you're looking for, the Swipe Clock technical support and account management teams are here to help you with that. So just submit a support ticket and we're more than happy to help you build a report that's right for you. And with that, I will turn it back over to the account managers.
All right, Dan, that was excellent. Thanks very much. And I am just going to echo what you said, is that when creating reports, I find it to be very much trial and error. So you can figure out what data you want by obviously creating the report. If the report results don't provide, again, your desired data, go back and try again, add some more add more data if you want. But again, as Dan said, if you get to a point where you need help, please submit a technical support ticket and provide as much detail as you can in that ticket. So the report name that you have created and the data that you want as a result when you run that report. And then that will help Dan and his team assist you in data creation. All right. What we'd like to do now is open it up for questions, and the questions can be on anything ApplicantStack, Recruit, and onboarding. We do ask that your questions stay fairly general. If you've got specific questions regarding your account, again, feel free to create a technical support ticket by clicking on the white question mark in the orange square in the upper right-hand corner, and then from the drop-down, ask a question. So let's go ahead and see if any questions have been submitted as of yet. And I do not see any questions. We'll give you a minute or two to input questions. And as always, please keep a lookout in the announcements panel of your ApplicantStack Recruit homepage or onboarding homepage. We are scheduling Ask Me Anything hours into the new year, 2023. We're also going to be running webinars on ApplicantStack Recruit and ApplicantStack onboarding like we have been doing. And again, you can register via links on your ApplicantStack homepage, and many of you are probably getting emails as well regarding those webinars and Ask Me Anything hour. I do not see any questions coming in. Carol or Brandon, do you have anything to add?
I do not. Thank you, Ellen. The next webinar we have is scheduled for January 17th, and that will be an overview of our recruit applicant tracking system. And with that, there are a couple questions that just came in.
Okay. First question, with the onboarding feature, once you send the candidate to onboarding, how do you see them under onboarding? I'll take that one, and I actually brought my demo account up. So let me see if I can share my screen. Give me a minute. All right. I think you should be seeing my demo account now. Carol, can you confirm?
Correct. I can see your screen.
Okay, excellent. So this is my demo account. It's actually the account Dan was just in as well. But when you move a candidate, and let me just click on the Candidates tab. Actually, I'm going to go back to the home page. When you move a candidate to the hired stage, and you could do for demo purposes, I just wanted to show you from the home page. That's the trigger stage that moves a candidate from ApplicantStack Recruit to onboarding. So if I move to onboarding by clicking on the 3x3 square up top, and from the drop down, choose onboarding, that candidate will then fall into the new stage here in onboarding. So if you click, or if I click on the Hires tab up top, or if I click on the number here, you'll then be able to see that candidate who is now deemed a hire in ApplicantStack onboarding. You then have the ability to populate that new hire's record with those types of forms and tasks that you want in order for the new hire to complete the onboarding process. I'm going to go back and reread that question. I want to make sure I answered it. I got an awesome and a thank you, so I think that question's answered. Excellent. The next question I see is there a tutorial for creating reports? So again, as mentioned, the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner, if I click there, from the drop-down, I'm going to choose Help Center. And the search bar, in the search bar, I'm simply going to input reports. And there'll be a number of guides and I believe a video as well that will help you with reports. And there are specific articles here on how to create onboard reports, how to create recruit reports. Here's the General Reports tab that will give you a very good overview of what Dan really just shared with us. So this would be a good starting point if you want to go ahead and dabble in report creation. And then again, as mentioned earlier, if you need assistance, technical support is there for you.
Okay, that reminds me, Ellen, that with reports, we do have an option for you to clone a report. And then perhaps you want to have that as your fallback report, and then you're able to make changes on the new one. So that might be a strategy for you to get in there and play with it and just become more comfortable with it without impacting your original report. So I believe Ellen's going to show you right now. You can go ahead and clone that report, make a copy.
So you could name this, anything you want to, but specify that it's a clone. And that, again, as Carol said, which is a great point, it doesn't affect your original report, but then allows you to do a little bit of experimentation to ensure that you're getting the data you want when you actually run the report. And then the other actions include the ability to obviously view the report, clone the report. You can edit your original report if you want to. Dan mentioned you can export report data into a CSV formatted file, such as Excel. And then, of course, you can delete a report. But a common theme among Ask Me Anything hours is rarely do we suggest that you delete anything from ApplicantStack because you always want that history and audit trail. All right. Looks like we've answered the questions so far. Looks like, Angela, we did answer your questions. Hopefully, Laura, yours as well. This might be a short Ask Me Anything hour, but that's okay too. Okay. Carol or Brandon or Dan? Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep. Another one just came in, huh?
Yes. So what is the difference between active and inactive? I'm wondering if that refers to candidate stages, or is that reports? Is there?
Yeah, I'm happy to field that one. So active and inactive refers to the stage configuration. There really is no active or inactive in reports. You can't really make a report active or inactive. You can mark a report as draft if you're still working on it. There is a button on the report creator. You can mark it as draft, and then only your user will be able to see the report. It will not be available to other users until you clear the draft flag. However, active and inactive are typically going to refer to stages. So you have your various candidate stages in your workflow, and when the candidate is part of an active hiring process, they are in an active stage. So that would be your candidates that you're working with. They're in manager review, they're in phone screen, etc. Now, all of the filters in ApplicantStack default to showing you active stages only, the candidates that you're working with. You may have inactive stages, such as do not pursue, or this candidate's not a good fit. You move them to an inactive stage. An inactive stage is hidden by default, but you can always expand your candidate or job filters to show inactive candidates and jobs. And one very important point that causes a little bit of confusion among clients is that an inactive stage is not a disabled stage. It's very much it's an enabled stage, but it just means that the candidate is in a stage where they are no longer actively being considered for a job. So that would be your do not pursue, or even your hired stage, because once candidate reaches hired, you're typically not going to work with their application in Recruit anymore. So even the hired stage is often an inactive stage. So does that help? Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. And Everly did qualify that question, Dan.
Yes, I saw.
She said that it was in regard to what makes a candidate inactive.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe you. Oh, and then she did respond. Yes, that helps. Thank you, Dan. So thanks all around, Dan, to you. And we've got one more question, it looks like, thus far. When exporting forms, is there any way to export supporting documents together, or can we only download one by one? Is there any way to export supporting documents together? Okay, so somebody jump in here. I'll start. But supporting documents are informational documents. At least the definition of supporting documents in ApplicantStack onboarding are informational documents only. So again, it could be a drug-free workplace statement. It could be a holiday schedule. It could be a welcome video, something along those lines. Supporting documents don't require any interaction by an ApplicantStack user or a new hire. So no signatures, no dates, no nothing. So I don't know a use case for exporting supporting documents. I'm wondering, Regina, if you might be able to clarify your question a little bit. And then Dan, Carol, and Brandon, am I interpreting that question as you would?
I believe so.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay.
We typically would export forms that a candidate has completed. So for instance, tax forms, or maybe a acknowledgement form for your workplace policies, something where the candidate would fill out their information and put their signature on it. And there are ways to export those in groups so that you can either use the export function on the right side menu, and there's also a view all forms function in the forms section of a higher details page, which will combine all of the forms into one PDF document. But in terms of supporting documents, as Ellen said, those are informational only, and I don't think they're included in the export. They're not candidate-specific documents. Everybody who gets assigned a supporting document gets an identical copy of that document.
So what I just did, Dan, is I followed along with you, and this is just I accessed a hire in my demo account, and you can see completed forms in the gray bar here. And if you click on View All Forms, you then have the ability to download, in this case, those forms that have been completed. So I think that answered part of your question. I'm wondering if there was any clarification. Okay, we got an okay and thank you. Regina, if you've got additional questions regarding this, please feel free. Oh, okay. Yes, it did answer her question. All right. Okay. So let's see if we've got any other questions coming in right now. I don't see any. All right, I think that could be it for today's Ask Me Anything Hour with ApplicantStack. Again, big thank you to you, Dan. It's probably nice to hear Dan's voice for those of you who are on this call. Probably most of you have interacted with Dan in some fashion. So again, Dan, thank you. And again, keep a lookout for the webinars that have been scheduled in 2023. The general product webinars being ApplicantStack Recruit and ApplicantStack Onboarding. And then, of course, additional Ask Me Anything hours are also scheduled, I believe, actually through March, or will be posted through March at some point in time. So I thank all of you who have participated. Again, a big thanks to you, Dan, Carol, and Brandon. All right. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.